everyone, it's Corrie here. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. It's Pulse story time for Tuesday afternoon. Now last week, if you remember, we thought about some different reactions to Jesus when he was dying on the cross. And there'll be a link in the description under this video if you want to watch that again. But all of this term at Pulse, we've been thinking about some of the amazing things that Jesus did when he lived on earth. I wonder if you can remember any of those miracles. Well, today we're going to hear another true story from the Bible. But first, I've got a challenge for you. Now, you might want to do this now, in which case, in just a minute, I'll ask you to pause this video and go and do it. But there may be no one with you at the moment, in which case you might want to have a go at this later on. Now, what I want you to do is this. I want you to go and find someone else in your house, and I want you to tell them something that you've done today and something that makes you laugh. Okay? But there's a catch. You are not allowed to talk. You've got to pretend that they can't hear you and you can't speak. You can't use your voice at all. Do you understand? Find someone and tell them something you've done today and something that makes you laugh. If you want to have a go at it now, pause this video and I'll see you in a minute. So how was that? It's hard, isn't it? It's really difficult to communicate when you can't speak. Maybe you got a bit frustrated. Maybe the person you were talking to or trying to communicate with got a bit frustrated. Maybe if you can read and write, you wrote it down. That works, but it takes a lot longer than talking. Well, in today's true story from the Bible, we're going to meet a man who couldn't hear at all. He was deaf. He couldn't hear the birds singing outside, he couldn't hear music playing, he couldn't hear his family laughing. He couldn't even hear someone shouting, "Look out, be careful, it's gonna crash!" And because he'd never been able to hear people talking, he'd never learnt to talk himself. Just imagine how much more difficult his life would have been because of that. Let's find out what happened. I'm going to be reading from the Bible from Mark chapter 7. Then Jesus left the area around Tyre. He went through Sidon to Lake Galilee, to the area of the 10 towns. While he was there, some people brought a man to him. This man was deaf and could not talk. The people begged Jesus to put his hand on the man to heal him. Okay, so Jesus is travelling around in the countryside and he's visiting different towns. And when he gets to this town, some people bring a man to Jesus. Maybe they were the man's family. Maybe they were the man's friends. They'd probably heard about the amazing miracles that Jesus was doing, and they wanted him to heal this deaf man. Jesus led the man away from the crowd to be alone with him. Jesus put his fingers in the man's ears. Then Jesus spat and touched the man's tongue. Jesus looked up to heaven and took a deep breath. He said to the man, "Ephphatha," which means "be opened." When Jesus did this, the man was able to hear. He was also able to use his tongue, and he spoke clearly. So the Bible says that Jesus looked up to heaven. Why do you think he did that? Well, he did that because it's God who healed the man. It's not magic. It's not medicine even. It was a miracle from God. And this deaf man was able to hear and to speak for the first time. Jesus commanded the people not to tell anyone about what happened. But the more he commanded them, the more they told about it. They were really amazed. They said, "Jesus does everything well. He makes the deaf hear, and those who can't talk, Jesus makes them able to speak. Now, you might think it's a bit strange that Jesus told them not to tell other people about what happened. After all, didn't Jesus want people to believe in him? But the problem was, if people got too excited about the miracles, that would be all that they cared about. And Jesus still had a lot more to teach his followers and a lot more to do. But even though Jesus said that, the people were so excited, they told everyone about it. And did you notice what it was? They said, Jesus does everything well. He makes the deaf hear. And those who can't talk, Jesus makes them able to speak. The deaf hear, and those who can't talk are able to speak. That's really exciting. I mean, it would be exciting anyway, but there's something about this that makes it super exciting. Because you see, around 700 years before this happened, there was a prophet called Isaiah. He was a messenger from God. And he told God's people about a special time in the future when God would save his people. Listen to what Isaiah said. Then the blind people will see again. Then the deaf will hear. Crippled people would jump like deer. And those who can't talk now will shout with joy. Did you notice what would happen when God came to save his people? Blind people will see again. Jesus healed a blind man. Do you remember when Susie taught us about that a few weeks ago? She got you to try and identify things in your hands without looking at them. Deaf people will hear. We've just seen Jesus do that. Crippled people, people who can't walk, will jump like deer. Do you remember Chris telling us about the friends who lowered their paralysed friend through a roof on a mat so Jesus could heal him and he could walk again? And those who can't talk now will shout with joy. We've just seen that happen too, haven't we? The man who couldn't hear and couldn't talk, and Jesus healed him. So these miracles that we've been learning about this term, it's not because Jesus is magic. It's not just because Jesus is powerful. These miracles show us that Jesus is God's promised rescuer. Isn't that amazing? Well, I'm going to pray and I'm going to talk to God. And if you want to agree with my prayer at the end, you can say amen. I'm going to say thank you to him for Jesus. Dear God, thank you so much for Jesus, your promised rescuer. Thank you that you keep your promises. Thank you that he healed the deaf man. And please help us to trust in him every day. Amen. Now, it's been lovely to be here with you. Sorry I can't see you in person. I hope you have a really good week. And one thing maybe you'd like to do tomorrow, why not try and notice all the different things that you can hear? The birds, the cars, music, laughter, all sorts of things you can hear. And when you listen to them, remember this amazing miracle Jesus did and what it tells us about him. Okay, bye.